I'm Ned Reynolds. Welcome to the website for the Ozarks Basketball Preview 2019-2020. Where has the time gone? The gentleman to my left is our selection for Coach of the Year for the second consecutive year. You all recognize him, Steve Frank, now the former head coach at Stratford High School, but certainly deserving of the award more than he realizes. It's been now, as we do this interview, about 8 months since the championship, since 4 consecutive state championships, and by the way, 115 straight victories. You've had a chance to think about it, a chance to measure perhaps the impact on you as a coach. Can you put that into words?
It was so special being able to not only experience that, but go through it with my own daughters. It really kind of put the icing on top of the cake. And if you'd asked 4 years ago if we'd ever thought that we'd be in this situation, you don't really imagine that or don't even think about it. And for that to happen, it's very special. And I've said over and over that the kids probably won't really realize how special it is until years down the road, and you look back and you realize that, man, that was quite a run.
Steve, when you take a look at Marshfield, it was virtually 3 decades that they held on to the 102 consecutive victories. This is 115, and when you're short of term on this earth like I am, you realize that this is probably a record that's going to stand for a long time. How do the girls probably don't realize that, but putting that into words for them, what would they think?
Well, there was a lot of pressure there, and I felt like that I tried to shoulder as much of that and try to keep things. We just looked at one game at a time, and as we got deeper and deeper into the season last year, I know there was one game about 5 or 6 games before that. We were in the Rogersville tournament, and we had a timeout, and the girls just had a blank look on their face, and I slapped one of them on the leg, and I said, "What? Did you lose your best hunting dog, or what's going on?" And there was no reaction. And on the way home, I was talking to my daughter, and she's like, "Dad, we've got everything to lose and nothing to gain." And they really felt that pressure going down the stretch those last few weeks. So I felt like once that we eclipsed the 102 mark, that we were able to relax, and it really helped our season out for the rest of the season going into the playoffs and the state tournament. Was we kind of had that burden off our shoulders, but it did weigh heavy there as we got closer and closer to the Marshfield record.
What was the reaction of the town of Stratford and their peers in school?
Well, the night that we played Republic, the night that we broke the record, of course, it was standing room only, and it was the atmosphere, and it was just incredible. It was almost like a state championship atmosphere. And what was really special was there were several of the Marshfield girls who played on some of those Marshfield teams that were there, and we took pictures with them after the game. And it was just a lot of special things that really happened.
Most of those kids from Marshfield, I'm sure they were very gracious with the fact that their record had been broken when they took the pictures and so forth. They were congratulatory.
Yes, yes.
Now the girls, your twin daughters, are in different schools. One's at C of O and one's at the University of Missouri. Have their teammates, have their peers in college recognize the fact that they're coming from a record-setting school?
Well, I feel like they do, especially at College of the Ozarks, because there's several girls that we played against throughout the time, because College of the Ozarks has majority of all their kids are from this area. So, we've played against them at times and played with them on travel teams and things. So I feel like the knitness or the tightness of the team is a lot closer as far as their background and their playing experiences at College of the Ozarks. Now, at Missouri, it's probably a little different. Of course, Asia Blackwell that played for Whitfield, and we played them 3 times throughout our run, and twice in the Final Four, once for the state championship. She's playing with Haley at Mizzou, and so she's well aware of everything that transpired, and that's always the big question is how Haley and Asia are getting along, because for 4 years they went against each other, and now they're teammates, and I think it's really worked out well, and they've really complemented each other, and are really looking forward to having a good 4 years together at Missouri.
Well, let's talk about the season, this most recent season, the 4th state championship. You had a couple of close games, and ironically against the same team, St. Louis Lutheran North. and both virtually the same point spread at the end of the game. I believe it's 8, if I'm not mistaken, but 8 back in December or January, whenever that was, and then in the championship game itself. Were they the biggest challenges, and how did the girls handle that, knowing that this is a pretty good basketball team?
Well, we really stepped up our schedule last season and played some big teams, and I think that really kind of prepared us or helped us for those type of games. But we went to St. Louis and played Lutheran North at Lutheran North, so we were in their environment, their home court, and it was a knockdown drag out from the beginning all the way to the end, and at no time did we really feel comfortable in that game. And so I think having that game under our belt and then turn around and then playing them for the state championship, the kids, they went into the game knowing that they were going to have to do everything right, and we're really going to have to put it all together in order to get a win. So, playing them early in the season probably was a blessing in disguise, and it really kind of helped us out when we did play them in the end.
Well, in that championship game, though, Stratford was behind a couple of times, and if I remember correctly, you didn't pull away until about, and pulling away is used in not necessarily the legitimate terms that it should have been. It was only 8 points. But it was, I think there were 3.5 minutes remaining. What's going through your mind that time?
Well, I think with about 7.5 minutes in the fourth quarter, we went down 1. So we were down in the fourth quarter at one point. And then we made a little run. And, once we kind of made that run, I felt like we got the momentum going back our way. And once the momentum kind of swung our way, it kind of was, I shouldn't say I was comfortable, but it felt a little better once we kind of got it back on our side, and especially as the game kind of wound down, I knew that we did a really good job of controlling the clock, controlling the ball, and our kids understood what we needed at what time. So it felt pretty good when we were able to make that little run at the end.
Let's put this in general terms now. Over 4 years, what has been certainly your daughters, but in terms of an overwhelming catalyst in the team, what's turned it around? What's allowed this team, this program, to win 115 straight wins? That doesn't just happen every day.
Well, balance and defense, I think, are the biggest keys. Haley and Kaylee's sophomore and junior year, we finished the season with 4 kids in double figures. And it was just so balanced all throughout the team. And, it was really hard to really, as a game plan, to come in and play us and try to take away 1 or 2 kids, because we had 3 or 4 other kids that could step up and beat you. And I think that was, the balance was so key there for us. And we tried to really speed the game up and try to play as fast as we could. And I think that really kind of made it tough on teams, because not playing in a half-court set, they weren't able to key on some of our key players a lot, and we were able to kind of get out in the open floor, and it made it a little tougher for other teams to kind of game plan us.
Did you have to change your coaching style at all during that 4-year period?
Yes, we did change several things throughout that run, and I tried to play to the kids' strengths, and I always feel like if you make the changes, because throughout that 4-year run, we had different makeups and different team chemistries, and so every year we had to kind of change things a little bit. And I think the second year of the run was when Abby Oliver was a senior, and we were really a 3-point oriented team and really shot a lot of threes. And then we turned around the following year and kind of went just the opposite way and turned it around a little different. So it was just a matter of the kids we had each year, and tried to kind of make sure that we just played everybody's strengths.
Steve, one of the challenges that comes from 2 coaches with teams of this nature is the motivation factor. Was there ever a period of time, and don't be bashful or reserved about answering this, but was there ever a period of time when you really felt like they needed motivation to get out and play?
Well, I think that's what was special about our team. All 4 years, we had great leadership from the top to the bottom, and everybody pushed everybody, but it was done in a proper way. There was no negativism towards it, and everybody just held each other accountable. And I think I took my experiences of high school and college basketball and have tried to kind of incorporate it too. I know it's a long season and it's a grind, and so therefore I tried, as we got later in the season, to shorten things up and really work on our mental and make sure that we were not tired, not exhausted, and those type of things. And I feel like that, that may be a little tough for the next year or two, or for Dustin Larson as he follows me this year, because I probably did some things that most coaches don't do, and it really worked out well. If we had not had made the run we did, then it wouldn't have looked so good. But I kind of did some things that probably are untypical of your regular coaches, and there would be times that when I felt like we needed a break, and we would break out a wiffle ball bat and wiffle ball, and that's what we do in practice, and just to try to kind of change things up. So, it worked out well, and I just tried to keep the kids' mind fresh and tried to keep their bodies as fresh as I could all the way through.
Well, being the dad as well as the head coach, did you have to tame your daughters a little bit to say, relax a little bit, let's get away from basketball for a while? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, I mean, we tried to always leave it at school and not bring it home with us, which that was hard.
Oh, sure.
I tried to let them be kids when they could, and especially in the off season, we really tried to get away from it. And I always tried to let them, we'd go to the lake, all the kids, not just my own, but try to just get a break and come back fresh. And that's what I always kind of liked about kids that played multiple sports was, while they were in the other sport, it gave them a chance that when that one's over with, when they came back to basketball, it was fresh again, and it just wasn't a grind.
Let's turn the clock forward a little bit, and it's very hard, if not impossible, to predict the future and all that. Now, you're not going to coach this year. You have stepped down so you can watch your girls play. Does that mean that Steve Frank is done with coaching, or is the flame still burning?
Well, I've always said, and I feel like I still have an instrumental part in this season. I still have my same teaching schedule, and I have it set up where I had the majority of my basketball players in my first hour weight training class. So therefore, they come in before school and get a lot of shooting in, and so I still have the team every day and have them in my weight training class, and still am in the gym with them when they're getting up shots and everything. So I still kind of feel like I have a small piece still in the pie here, but I feel like that when my kids are done playing in 4 years, that if I still have the itch maybe and the opportunity is there, that I would step back into it. But I just want to be able to watch my kids play. I felt like I sacrificed my family for 28 years, and I just didn't want to miss these 4 years of my two daughters playing. And so when they're done, then if the opportunity's there, I think I might step back into it.
Well, when you do, and I'm going to use the term when as opposed to if, but when you do, what would the impact of Steve Frank be with a team coming? We'll say it's a school other than Stratford, somebody else coming to you. How would you present yourself, and knowing fully well that these folks who come after you know fully well you had 115 straight victories and 4 state championships?
Well, I think the big thing is no matter what school it would be or what level it would be is I don't think I would change a whole lot of things and a whole lot of philosophies. I just feel like it's getting to know your kids and learning what their strengths are and trying to kind of implement the little things. And I've always been one that winning ball games is all about doing the little things and not beating yourself. And I think it takes a year or two a lot of times to kind of implement that into a program. And so, I would hope that if I do step back into it, that first year they would be patient and understand that sometimes it would take a year or so to try to kind of get everything implemented back in. But I don't think the philosophy would change a whole lot.
Here's the key question as we wrap her up. For the first time in their lives, your girls are under a different coach now. Will Papa offer any counsel and advice?
I try to sit back and try not to, but I would say Kaylee actually is playing a game tonight, and we're going to the first game tonight. So it will be interesting to kind of see how that is sitting on the side. But I try to let them be their own person, and I've tried not to be overwhelming when it comes to that.
Very well done. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And Steve Frank, he is the Ozarks Basketball Preview Coach of the Year for year number 2.